Welcome. In this week's episode, I chat to Ilhaam Smith from FinSource Consulting, who started a business 12 years ago when it was just her and her laptop and now manages a team of 6 people. We chat to her about how she grew her business and some of the challenges that she had in growing her business. Let's dive in. Yeah, so welcome, Ilham. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us about your background?
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is Ilhaam Smith, and I'm married to Dale, and a mom to Hudson, and a very busy 2-year-old. And then I'm also a dog mom. I can't forget about my fur babies.
Of
I'm
course,
also a
I've got
dog
two
mom
sitting
to
here right with me.
to Joey. Um, I was born and raised in Cape Town, and I have 3 siblings, 2 brothers and a sister, and I'm the oldest. I'm also a Christian, and I lead a women's Bible study on Wednesday. So you may find it interesting, but we won't go into that detail. My name is Ilham, and I'm a Christian. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that
we can
is it.
unpack that. We'll unpack that another time. Um, yeah, so I'm the founder of FinSource Consulting, where I serve as a virtual CFO together with my team, and then recently became, if I call it, an accounting coach, but I've started, yeah, with financial education.
Okay.
And yeah, my passion for accounting and finance actually it began early on, but it wasn't actually what I always thought I was going to do. Like when I
Yeah.
was at school and I knew I was going to be an accountant, it was more around, yeah, I thought I was actually going to go into marketing, interesting enough.
Okay, that's
And
interesting. Yeah.
um, yeah, but then in grade 11, one of my parents' very good friends, bless his soul, he actually passed away very young. He was a qualified CA, and he said, "Why don't you go into go the CA route? That will open up doors, and you will still be able to do marketing, etc., etc." Um, but yeah, I think we will. I can go into that a bit later, but we have, yeah, I've been very fortunate enough to turn that passion of working with small businesses and finance, and really helping small businesses and entrepreneurs navigate that complex world. So
Yeah.
from being passionate about it from early on, I wouldn't say from high school, but early on in my career, and then fortunate enough to turn that into a passion has been really awesome. Um, but then before I started FinSource, I gained like really valuable experience. I mean, I started out waitressing and all of that
Yeah.
while I was studying. And I actually studied, I did go to varsity college because I didn't do accounting or anything. Like I was not privileged to get into, any of the universities, which was quite disappointing. And one of the things that I like, yeah, I wish I did, but I don't have regrets. It was part of my journey. So because I didn't go to university, I went to varsity college, and I just found like you go there for like till 12 o'clock, and then what do you do for the rest of the day? So I started working and doing waitressing and earning money. Um
Always
and
good.
yep. And I realized that um, you know, I was going to do my degree and complete my CA, but I was just going to do it all part-time, which was really tough. So then started my articles. I managed to get a job at a small article firm called Brody Gordon in Claremont, where I really worked on like mainly small owner managed businesses, and it was like on the ground work, so doing like bookkeeping and accounting and I was
The
only
day-to-day stuff
20,
that, yeah.
yeah, and I was only 20 at the time. So, and I think, yeah, I was 20, I was studying part-time, and it was really hard, but I didn't have anything else to focus on other than like work and then obviously study. And then I actually moved to Joburg, um, and articles transferred to Mazars, which was awesome because there I also then got exposed to, and I completed my articles there, but there I was exposed to the bigger clients and the
Yeah,
bigger
yeah, you would be.
businesses,
Yeah.
and most of them were listed on the stock exchange. So it was full on like audits and working on bigger teams, also managing teams. That was really great experience. So it was a good blend, but it did make me realize that I preferred working with small businesses
Yeah.
and working with the entrepreneur directly. So when I say small businesses, it can be owner managed. Um, but anyway, outside of work, I enjoy running, keeping fit, spending time with family and friends, and I'm always eager, yeah, to engage in these conversations
Yeah.
and have meaningful conversations about life and entrepreneurship, finance,
Yeah.
and parenthood, motherhood, yeah, and just everything in between. So yeah, I'm very excited that I could be here today and just share some of my insights
Yeah. Yeah.
with you and with your audience.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit more about FinSource?
Yeah, sure. Um, so FinSource was founded in 2012, and we just provide outsourced accounting, financial management, and tax services. But we do like to see ourselves as not just your accounting firm, but more of a boutique accounting firm with a personalized service. Our mission is really simple. We just want to empower entrepreneurs, and we do that by providing entrepreneurs with accurate financial information and education to make informed financial decisions that will ultimately help their business succeed and grow. We are a small but highly skilled team, so we are able to offer flexibility and agility that the larger firms often lack. And that's, I mean, they often come to us and they'll be like, yeah, like we were with this firm and then they grew and now we like, that there's no connection and they don't even know about our business. So our clients aren't just, another number to us.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I think that's sort of just about FinSource in a nutshell. And for me, it's always about like we're not just about the numbers. Like we really want to make like a difference in the lives of our clients who run those businesses by giving them that peace of mind and help them achieve their financial goals. And yeah, so we're passionate about what we do. I'm passionate about what I do. The rest of the team are also passionate. And I think together, we just love working with, small to medium sized owner managed businesses.
Yeah, yeah. Having that sort of more personalized connection is great, especially when you're a small business and if you just feel like a number, it just everything, you don't feel like you're getting specialized support or anything like that.
Absolutely. And being a small business owner myself, like I know when I go use a provider, the service that I want, like I like dealing with um not necessarily the owner, but the team, like if it's a small team, who owns the business, who's behind the business and what their
Yeah.
values are, and like you just feel like there's a personal relationship
Yes.
which is sometimes often so lacking in a lot of these firms because everything is so digital and online, but there still needs to be a human and a personal element. And I'm sure you can relate to that being in the digital space. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 definitely. And there's sort of a trend now for people to move away from that, and because of all these new AI systems and so on, it's let's get rid of as many people as we can and replace them, replace support systems with AI systems and replace help with AI help. It's just not, it just doesn't feel personal. It doesn't, it's nice to actually talk to someone. It's nice to pick up the phone and say, hey, how's it going? Are, find out about someone, like actually find out about someone, and that person is also helping you in your business. So yeah.
No, absolutely.
So can you give us a scale of how big your business is?
So just from a scale point of view, as I mentioned earlier, we're a small team. We're a team of six, three of which are directly involved in the financial management, the tax, and the compliance. So we take on a maximum of, I would say, 30 clients per year. Most of our clients are, most of our clients have been with us for more than 5 years, but that's from a capacity point of view, and that's us doing the full financial management function. We all work remotely and we keep connected monthly with our team meetings. Um, we don't have offices. We, yeah, we had offices, which, yeah, happy for you to ask me why we don't have offices anymore, but I just, I don't, it doesn't, it's not a requirement for us. Everything we do is remote. When we meet clients, we meet them online, or we meet them at their offices, or we meet them in coffee shops. Um, and yeah, in terms of uh, the types of clients we work with, I mean, we work with SMEs, and mostly, well, we only work with owner-managed businesses. And what I mean by that is that the directors are directly involved in the business
Yeah.
with a team. And yeah, do you want to know anything more?
Um, no, I think that's good. I think that's good. I think
Oh,
after, sorry.
we in Cape Town. Sorry, we in Cape Town. But we don't only service clients in Cape Town. So by working remotely, we are able to service clients all over South Africa, which is how, we've scaled that we're able to work remotely. We use platforms that are cloud-based, and therefore, the internet is amazing because we're able to then work on clients from all over and use financial softwares and tools and things that allow that. Um, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I added that in.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I think after COVID, lots of people decided offices are a thing of the past now. We can all work remotely, so why not? So yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you said you were, so going back in the conversation a bit, you said you were at Mazars, and then when did you decide I don't want to work with these big listed companies anymore. I'm going to start my own business.
It's actually a funny story because, well, it's actually not funny, but um, yeah, I never actually planned to just start my business in 2012. I think I was in 2012 when I was like 26 or 27 years old. I definitely didn't think I was going to start then. But it was a journey. Um, I mean, I didn't leave Mazars straight away and just start a business. I went to work for Stefanuti Stock um, in Johannesburg, and I always knew that I wanted to be back in Cape Town, and that is my home. That's where I was born, raised, and I needed to get back here. Um, and so then I started looking for a job, and I then found a job in Cape Town in Somerset West. And I was like, okay, great, this is a great position. Came to the interview and got the job and moved to Cape Town. And I thought Somerset West, like it's far, but it's Cape Town. It's still in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
Um, and and then what had happened was, yeah, when I arrived, I was the financial accountant, and when I arrived there, I realized that things did not look right. And, we sit in meetings and yeah, it just felt like there was a lot of financial pressure around, yeah, like they couldn't pay their bills and it just seemed very uncomfortable, like it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Um, and anyway, I found out we all got called. Well, I knew, but we all then got called into, I'll never forget, this warehouse where um, the directors then said to all the staff, we're going into voluntary liquidation. I think I'd been there for like 3 months. I need to go back and check. Like I haven't done a
Okay,
CV.
wow,
I
3 months.
haven't done a CV. Yeah, I don't think I've done a CV for like I haven't done a CV for a very long time. So I need to check. But like, yeah, I think I was there for like 3 months or so. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just left my like well paid, amazing job in Joburg to move down to Cape Town, yes, but like with financial stability, knowing that I'm gonna have a job. And I was just like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? Anyway, like, right. And then I started doing contract work. So I left there. I was like, okay, right. I
Yeah.
mean, staff got laid off and all those kind of things. And I left and I was fortunate enough to get contract work. And I was contracting for probably about a year. And I just was like, something in me was like, I can do this on my own. Like when I was at Nazar's, I loved working with the small, like the business owners. Like it was,
Yeah.
and actually at Brody Gordon, like I loved it. Like I was just so inspired by them, like that they had this idea, they implemented it, and they like took the risk, and it must be so rewarding. So there was part of me that always knew that, you know, I wanted something, but I didn't know that it was going to happen so soon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You
so
didn't know you
while
were
I
going to
was
be forced into it like that. You didn't know that your
yeah.
managers at the company you were going to work for made that decision for you.
No, absolutely not. And and so while I was contracting and while I was doing work, I was just like, I should like start my own business. But I just want to go back a little bit and
Yeah.
just say that when I was at the company that got liquidated, I met a fellow accountant, but she was more on like a project basis, quite a big company. So she would come in on like a contract basis.
Yeah.
And while I was there, she spoke to me about Cypher. So I just want to go back, and I have to always go back because there's a journey
Okay.
of why I'm here, where I am today, and just how I also started. Because if you remember, right in the beginning, I mentioned to you that I studied on my own and
Yes.
studied and worked, so part
Yes.
time studied and worked and completed my articles with the goal to always finish and qualify as a chartered accountant. And that was always the goal. But working full time and trying to get through extremely difficult exams and, you know, I never achieved that. So it was something that was always like on me that I wasn't good enough because I wasn't a CA and I wasn't, but I knew that I just didn't want to go into auditing and I wasn't going to go into the investment side of things. So for me, like I love the management accounts and the financial accounting side, but how was I able to I couldn't sign off financial statements and go and trade as a accountant if I wasn't a chartered accountant. And that's how it used to be. And while I was at, so there was a lot of that, like, oh no, I can't do it. Like, I'm not good enough. I need to finish my qualification. So I had my degree and I had all of that, but I wasn't a qualified CA. I didn't uh, uh, write the CA board exams. I didn't qualify to write the CA board exams. So it was a massive setback, I thought at the time. And then when I was at this company that actually was liquidating, I met um, an amazing woman who I'd actually have no contact with her at all. It's been so long. And she told me about CIPO, who's the South African Institute of Professional Accountants, which was never part of like what my vocab. It was always the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants.
Yeah.
And during that time, like the Companies Act that changed where CIPO accountants could sign off financials and not only chartered accountants could sign off financial statements. So she told me about that, and I was like, oh, okay, and then kind of left it at that. So when I went to the contract position and I was thinking like my future is basically depending on someone else's decisions all the time. Like I'm now, I worked for a boss. I came, they were like, sorry, we're liquidating, we're closing our company, cheers, you out. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So now I'm like contracting, and now I'm like, my future is dependent on are they going to make me permanent or not? And like this just doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
So when I look back, I always know like God for me had a plan. Like he had a plan that was what I needed to go through that liquidation, like her name was Linky, she was Afrikaans, met Linky, and I needed to learn, oh, there's more to just chartered accountant and psycho.
Yeah.
And that is actually when I decided, I went while I was contracting, I then went the cipher route, completed the cipher board exams, and decided I'm gonna start my own business. And registered the company, and not registered the company, called the company FinSource Consulting. Had a friend of mine make my logo, and yeah, just went right. I'm gonna advertise and see what happens. But I can do this because I don't ever want someone else, um, to basically say to me, I'm closing my business, you don't have a job. And yeah, it didn't work for me at all. And that's actually what motivated me. And I was forced. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, I was kind of forced in a way,
Yeah.
like to go like, it's not like I went, okay, I'm going to like put in my resignation. And it was like, I was kind of forced into starting my business a lot sooner than I thought I would have.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's worked out very well for you that
Yeah.
being forced into that. You've sort of answered the next couple of questions, which is how did you get into your industry and what motivated you to start your business? But if there's anything else you wanted to touch on there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I mentioned previously, like I always knew that I wanted to help entrepreneurs get to grips with their financials because I saw a lot of that while I was doing articles and seeing like so many entrepreneurs, like they would outsource, which is great, but they didn't really understand what they were like. They hated finance. They were like, I'm not a money person, but actually, like, you needed to know your money in order to grow your business.
Yeah.
It is something that you need to know as an entrepreneur. So I think that, and that keeps me going. I think, yeah, I mean, there's nothing else really, other than, what I've mentioned previously. Yeah.
Yeah. So in obviously you said you were sort of forced into that. There was a series of decisions that were made and a series of things that happened which got you into your business. And what were some of the challenges that you were facing when you actually started to run your business and you started getting in clients and how did you overcome those challenges?
I think the biggest challenge in the beginning was you new to the industry. So you do have what we call it now, like that imposter syndrome, like, can I do it? Can't I do it? And
Yeah.
really trying to motivate yourself that you can do it. Because I think that is what was always a challenge for me. But ultimately, it's about gaining that traction and like convincing clients, like you, this newbie at 26 or 27 years old. I can't actually remember. That's how old I am now. But really, just about convincing clients to entrust you with their financial matters and their finances, which is quite big, like money is it's one, it's personal, but it's it's something that um someone doesn't just like to open up about. So, and trusting them as a female, and I don't like to go into the whole male female, like, yeah, I'm not a feminist or anything, but it was also hard because I was a young female and our industry is dominated and it's still dominated by males.
Yeah.
So to sit there and um, try and like convince clients that you know what you're doing and you're good at what you do, give me the chance, was tough in the beginning. Um, so I really needed to prove my value, and I'm very grateful for, the clients that I did get in the early stages of starting FinSource, that gave me that opportunity. Um, that was I mean, the biggest challenge. You needed to get clients in order to make money. And because it wasn't planned in my, from a financial perspective, which I will always say plan, I didn't plan to start a business so soon. Um, so yeah, I was like, I needed to get those clients so that I was able to actually work, and I wanted to work, so that I could make a living and live and survive.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was finding the clients and sort of getting over the mental barrier that you weren't good enough to serve those clients. And I suppose once you got those initial clients, you just realized, obviously I'm good enough. Obviously this is, I've been doing this for a long time. And then obviously the clients became more easier for you to get.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's all word of mouth in our industry, and if you're good at what you do and you provide a good service, you people talk about it, and it's relational. So it just depends on what the client needs, what they're wanting, and that relationship from their accountant. So making that quite clear it's still, I mean, still today, to try and make entrepreneurs understand what they are paying for is important to me, because I know that it's not accounting services, it's like, oh, it's like a grudge pay, like you don't want to pay that amount. But if you see value in it and you're using the information, makes a massive difference. So yeah, I think that was definitely one of the biggest challenges. And then also, I mean, eh, I guess making sure that you are compliant. In the beginning, it's very much compliance driven, trying to make, in the beginning of when I started, it was all about like just making sure like your taxes are up to date, boom, and all of those kind of things. So making sure that, you know, from an educational perspective, that I was always on top of things, because you don't have team members to bounce things off. You don't have a boss that's going to review what you've submitted. Like, you are the person that's
Yeah.
submitting everything. You taking that risk. So making sure that you're always on top of things, was really, from an educational and compliance perspective, was really important,
I suppose that also
which still
makes
is still
you,
today.
yeah, I suppose that also makes you a lot better because when everything stops with you, you have to make sure that you are doing everything correctly and nothing can fall through the cracks because you have no one else to say, oh, well, actually it was, that was someone else's job to do. That wasn't my job. You don't have that luxury anymore. So you have to just make sure that you are doing everything that you need to do the way it needs to be done.
When you say it like that, I'm like, oh, anxiety levels. But I know
I did
that's
not mean
exactly
that
that.
like that.
No, no, no. But that is it. It is. I mean, for every business owner and entrepreneur, especially like in our industry, like there's risk, and you've got to take responsibility for that, because you are offering that service.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the flip side of that, can you share a memorable milestone in your business? Something that happened that was really memorable, a big moment for you?
Um, oh, it's a long time I need to think back. But I think for me, just going back, and especially because we're talking like we were speaking about the beginning stages of the challenge, I think the
Yeah.
best feeling and like a massive milestone was just getting that first client, like getting that first client and sending that invoice and being paid. I was like, oh my goodness, like that is
Yeah.
a huge milestone. And often we forget that. Often as business owners, or let's say entrepreneurs, we forget about the fact that the first time you made that sale was like someone paid you for doing, someone's paid you for doing providing a service or selling a product that you've created and that you've built, which
Yeah.
was a really big milestone. Um, and then, of course, going, into the next season where you then are hiring your first employee, and realizing, oh my goodness, like the business is actually growing. We need to hire our first employee. That was a big milestone. And then there were various milestones in our business. I can't actually say like the biggest milestone. And then also having our first office, that was really cool, like memorable, like thinking of when we actually like signed the lease for the office and we had our FinSource branding put on the door and it was amazing. Like,
Yeah.
it felt at the time it was the perfect uh it was the perfect place for us, and it was just so wonderful to see after like 5 6 years, that I think it was 6 years, yeah, that we now have our own space and it just looked nice and we put like floors in and it was cool, like, to have that, and be able to share that with the rest of the team.
Yeah, it gives you something tangible, like something you can actually see and touch and feel to a business that is, very much not something that you can hold, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then of course, like, when you look at revenue, I mean, I mean, I don't, I'm so used to not sharing people's numbers because, it's confidential and
Of
we
course.
can't. But I think it's my numbers. And I think, hitting our first million rand for the year, like that was a massive milestone. And
Yeah.
having to be VAT registered, and like now we like, oh my goodness, all the things that we would do for our clients, we now having to do it for FinSource. So
Yeah.
that was, from a revenue perspective, that was really cool. Some might say it's not cool because now you need to pay VAT and you need to do all of those
Yeah.
things, but it was a good it was
It
good
shows
for
you're
us.
growing, yeah.
Yeah, it shows that there's growth. So yeah, I'm sure there are more that I'm leaving out, but those are the ones that
Yeah.
really stand out. Yeah, for
Yeah.
me.
It's funny that you say with your business as well, it was, it was getting that first client, it was um, the thought that someone's paying you now for your service that you're doing. In an interview that I did last week with someone who manufactures products and who sells a lot of them to very big customers, he was saying the a big milestone is just that I made something and someone wants to actually buy
Yeah,
it. That's it. Like, it's not
absolutely.
the huge client that I got to, or orders all of these things. It's just the fact that someone wants to use what I've actually made. And I think it's interesting
And
that
that's
there's a cross between there's such a cross between what we perceive as the big moments in any business.
absolutely. And I think it's often I've got to sit back when I'm having those, days where things are just not going my way and everything just seems hard for that month. And you just got to sit and like really dig deep and go, focus on like, look at what you've got instead of, because everything, every month for me is an amazing, when I invoice clients, and I'm just like, I'm so thankful because those clients trust in us. They trust in what we've created. And I mean, for me, I'd say, yes, I founded FinSource Consulting, but I couldn't do it without the team. Like, I can't do it by myself.
Yes.
So, I think just trusting that they're allowing us to have, like, for FinSource, like, and me personally, like, who founded it, allowing the freedom and the flexibility and allowing me to create what I'm so passionate about and ultimately giving them a service and they're paying for it. Like, I just have to constantly remind myself, like, you can do this. You've
Yeah.
got this,
Yeah.
you know. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Focus on the things that you have achieved rather than the speed bump that's in your way currently.
yeah. Or what you haven't achieved,
Yeah.
You think you haven't achieved. Yeah, you look around you and everyone's doing like a million things. You're like, oh my gosh, I should be doing that. I should be growing like that. I should be scaling like that. And it can actually just, it feels all the joy that you actually have right in front of you.
Yeah, because you got to remember that there's someone behind you looking at you saying exactly the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So going on, what were your startup costs? You said obviously you were just by yourself, you'd been sort of forced into this position. Were there big things that you needed to purchase? Was it just you and your laptop and off you went? Pretty much.
That's basically it. It was me and my laptop, and then obviously just paying for the Cyper membership so that I could practice. So qualifying, so in that year, like, actually for me, that was a cost. Of me getting to start my business, and I am the person that was for uh like the membership, and so that was the only thing in terms of like that financial outlay in the beginning, um, other than just, yeah, my laptop and me.
Yeah.
That I was the cost and my laptop. And obviously like subscriptions. And at the time, like subscriptions were quite minimal. Like we weren't using um like digital tools or anything back then. I mean, it was like clients were bringing boxes with their slips or, yeah,
Wow.
emailing bank statements. And so startup costs were
Were
maybe, I
minimal.
think we used Paxil at the time. So like, yeah, you just had a Paxil subscription, but very minimal compared to, I guess, if you, and that's why, like, I'm in the service industry. From a service perspective, there wouldn't be a lot of it. If you are selling a product, there will be a bigger initial, capital outlay because you may have to buy stock and set up an e-commerce website and all of those kind of things. So it is different.
Yeah.
But mine were very minimal. Yeah.
So what what role did education and training play? So obviously, besides the studying to be, all the accounting side, which is necessary for your business, anything else that you did to help you run your business, or maybe if it was an HR course or this course, or is there anything else that you did that was necessary for you to get to where you are now?
Part of our like CPD membership, which being a CIPA member, is you do need to keep up to date. So, like from a CPD perspective, you needed to have a certain amount of hours per year. So we would definitely make use of that. And it wasn't only accounting and tax and financial reporting and all of those kind of things. They also provided training on, you know, how to run a business, and just entrepreneurial um, courses that you could do, like quick little videos and those kind of things. But in all honesty, my whole entrepreneurial journey, I think, has just been learning from others. So, like watching others. My parents are, I was very fortunate that my parents have always been not entrepreneurial necessarily, but they've had their own business. They've also worked, but they've always had that like entrepreneurial mindset. And
Yeah.
then my so I've been fortunate enough to be able to see that. Um, and honestly, like I didn't go on any course on like how to be an entrepreneur. Like it's all through doing. That is how I learned. Like, and education from a how did I upskill myself? I would go and watch like I would go and I mean there weren't podcasts back then, but like it would be YouTube, or I would ask friends and that are in the entrepreneurial space. A lot of the times I would outsource if I couldn't do something myself. But from a skills perspective, in terms of how did I actually do my job and like complete the work, it would definitely be, the support of um, Cypher and the CPD that I would do, and other like courses. I didn't do a formal course. It would just be like informal training. You'd
Yeah.
watch something on that gets emailed to you because you subscribe to it. Uh, and yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, when you ask that, I'm like, oh, should I have done an entrepreneurial course, or should I have done a formal course, which is something like now, like I'm thinking about doing like a formal coaching course or but starting out, like I was doing the work. There was no time,
Yeah. Yeah.
to do any courses other than that. But now I'm so fortunate. Like right now, it plays a massive role in my day to day, where with listening to podcasts on Spotify and Instagram and all of those. I mean, there's loads of information now that you can actually learn. Like it's more accessible than what it was before.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, just going on YouTube, you can learn a whole bunch as long
Yeah,
as you can weed
absolutely.
out the information that's not good. Then you can and just
Exactly.
identify what is good, then you can do well. So
Absolutely.
what channels do you use to advertise your business? And what have you found to be the most successful in of all the channels that you use?
I use Instagram a lot, and we do use email marketing. Um, I do feel like marketing is definitely lacking in our business at the moment, just in terms of our strategy. And that's why we're very excited to be bringing on someone in June, which is not far from now, who will be helping us with that. Um, we have tried. It's a very complex space, and I just found that focusing on Instagram and our email marketing, um, that was where, to focus on all the different platforms is really hard. If I compare Instagram and email marketing, I would definitely say Instagram is more successful. Um, and yeah, I've had an amazing team that helped with email marketing. Um, and Instagram is so complex, and it's something that we definitely are going to be outsourcing soon, to professionals who can handle it. Um, but yeah, we are looking at, you know, going the LinkedIn route more, um, going forward, and definitely from a website point of view, like Google Ads and those kind of things, we have not explored that enough. And I do believe that with Instagram and LinkedIn and all of those social media platforms always changing, maybe I'm old school, but I think that there's more fruit that will come from email marketing and our website. I just feel like that will always be there. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I suppose the
You can tell me differently, but yeah, that's my 2 cents on just the whole marketing thing. Yeah.
yeah, well, with your website and with your email, you at least you own those. You completely own those. And as you say, Instagram could just decide to change something and that could negatively impact your business, and there's nothing you can do about that. So moving to things that
Mm,
you own is a great way. But it's interesting that you to hear that
mm,
Instagram has been so good for your business, and you've grown
mm,
through that.
mm.
Today in 2024, what is most challenging for you as an entrepreneur?
The most challenging thing at the moment, I would say, is it's just being able to keep on top of all the changes that are happening all the time. There's so many changes in our industry, new softwares, new compliance issues, and you can't do that without the right people and the support of a strong network. And I think for me now, the challenge is also finding highly skilled accountants is hard because to work with, to bring on board as team members, it's quite difficult because a lot of them are just starting their own businesses. Um, so there's that skill issue that's lacking.
Yeah,
Um, or they go to the big corporate firms, they go to the bigger firms. Um, and yeah, I think just from an entrepreneur, for me in my business, it's trying to keep up with all the changes that are happening, and bringing on creating a solid team that can support the changes that are happening, obviously
yeah.
within the relevant fields. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this sort of touches on what you said earlier about there's a lot of regulatory things that you need to keep up with. And on top of that, we've got a digital world with AI and everything like that that's suddenly coming into play, and all these new systems and things, and people are introducing new features and stuff like that. It's just an extra burden on you to keep up with that, as well as the things that you really have to keep up with. So I can imagine
Mm.
that's very challenging. Um,
Yeah.
but on the flip side of that, what do you enjoy most about? What do you enjoy most about being an entrepreneur?
I love the freedom, the flexibility. I love creating. So being able to build things and create new products with others. Um, just, you know, having that, seeing the reward. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but like it's so rewarding to be able to see a client who starts out with just me, myself, and I, like me, and watch them grow in their own way, because
Yeah,
growing is not always about having a 5-story building, um, and having 100 staff. It's not always that. And I think we get caught up in that. For me, it's really about seeing the difference that you are part of we are part of the client's team. So to be able to see how they grow from the beginning and like just watch them, like whether it be watching their revenue grow, watching their team grow, watching just how them creating new products or providing new services. There's just so much reward
yeah,
in that. And what else? yeah, I think have I answered your question?
I think you have. I think you have. I think that
Yeah,
it's it's easy to forget that success is different for everyone, and that my success might just be that in my business or in someone else's business. It's just that the success looks like, I've moved to a single person office, and that is success. I don't need staff. I don't need anything. I just need a small place where I can sit and work, and that whole is success for me. And for other people it is having a 5-story building and hundreds of employees and so on. But the the level of satisfaction that those two people get is exactly the same, because they are both
absolutely,
successful in their own right.
absolutely. Yeah, and it's just yeah, I think it's hard because as an entrepreneur, I think I said it earlier on, you compare yourself and comparison is the thief of joy. Like we know that. Um, and but we still do it because it's
Yeah.
just in our nature to do
Yeah.
that. So, it is hard some days when I sit and I go, geez, like we work really hard, like I love what I do, but like, am I doing it right? Like everyone else is like scaling and hiring like 50 team members and like grow. And we don't want it. Like, I don't want to do that because that for me, it takes the joy out of um, running my business. Like, I think I'm able to be involved and enjoy the business because yes, I have an amazing team, but I still know what's going on, and I'm a part of it. Whereas I just feel like when you're growing too, like that's not what I want. But
Yeah.
that is what they want, as you said, and that makes them feel good. But for me, does it really make me feel good?
Yeah.
Um, and I think quite an important point, like success does not look the same for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. So at the when we started chatting, you said that you're a mum of a little boy, am I not? And
Yeah,
two dogs.
Hudson,
So
yeah.
yeah. So how do you
One
balance
dog, one dog.
one dog? Oh, yeah, sorry, my two dogs. So how do you balance work and personal life?
I am going to say I would not survive without a calendar. I would not survive. And routine, routine with flexibility, of course, because I do know that everything doesn't go according to plan, as you've heard me
Yeah.
throughout the our chat today. But I think I try to keep it simple. Monday to Friday, it's simple. I work, I exercise, and then it's family. So I wake up in the morning, it's family. I work, I exercise, and then it's family. And I've always said, like, I will not work in the evenings or on weekends unless it is very, very urgent or there is an emergency. And I know you're probably going, are you mad? Like, that's crazy. Like, so many people work. Like, I know I've got entrepreneur friends. They work all day, every day. They're like literally, like, they're never off their phones. They're never off their laptops. They're just working all the time. And that was one thing that I always said I did not want to do when I started my business, because then what is the point? Because in terms of freedom and flexibility, and the reason why is because the one thing that really annoyed me in corporate, and I remember like I used to feel really bad because I would work really hard, I would get the tasks done, my manager's happy, my client's happy, and I would go home. When it's
Yeah.
5 o'clock, I would leave. And then I would be surrounded by people that were like working. till 10 o'clock at night, and they would stay at their computers. And it was almost a culture of the longer hours you work, the more efficient you were and the more successful you were. And I just was like, I don't get it. Like, I'm going to work as hard as otherwise I might as well take on and sign a contract that I'm working for 20 hours a day and then you can pay me for 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't understand. And I think it still happens today. And there are some people that just like to do that, and that's fine. But I just always felt like I didn't want to do that. So I have quite strict boundaries where I don't work at night, unless I have to. And it's something that I want to, like when I'm doing a bit of education and I want to learn or something, like, sure, I'll do that. And otherwise, like, work is work, and close my laptop. I go and exercise to clear my mind, and then I come home with a clear mind and I spend time with my family. Like, it's really important. Even before kids, before husband, like, that is what I would do. And obviously there's exceptions, like, I mean, if one of our team members are ill and I have to pick up on my work and their work, then sure, like, I would have to do it. There's flexibility around that. But
Yeah.
for me, I think it's very hard trying to say, like, how do you balance work and your personal life? Because I remember listening to a podcast by Jenna Kutcher, and she spoke about balance versus integration.
Yeah.
And balance, she explained, is an even distribution of weight, enabling someone or something to remain upright and steady. But integrate the act or process of combining one thing with another so that they become a whole. I think when we focus on the pressure of like maintaining that balance and that steadiness, it sometimes can become unrealistic. So we end up trying to strive for that balance.
Yeah.
And especially working from home and like being a mom and being remote, I've also learned that you can integrate. There is flexibility and you can integrate. And all our team members, like both team members in finance, like they're all moms. So we have learned to, instead of trying to create this very hectic balance in our lives, we keep it simple and we try and integrate some of the things, like if we do have a gap, we can quickly go and say hi to our kids, play with them for 5 minutes, and they understand that mommy's coming back into our office now and she's going to keep working.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think that for me has been always something I just said of, I won't work in the evenings, like, and weekends unless I have to, because that is what causes it just, yeah, there's no structure for me and it makes me very anxious. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
keep it
and
as simple as
separating
possible.
out, I think, is very important in that because you need to work just as your work is important, your family time is important as well. And while you're working, while you're actually doing the thing you need to do, you can't be playing with your children or walking your dog or doing something you enjoy. You have to be working, and while you're enjoying your family time, you mustn't be working. Like there must be a clear
Yeah.
divide between those. Um,
Because otherwise you're not present. You're not present.
yeah,
You're going to produce, when you're sitting with your son or your daughter or your kids or family or whatever, like, and now you're trying to work on your laptop, like, where are you present? Like, you're probably going to be not, well, you're definitely not present, be physically present, but you're not present. And that could be on your phone or your laptop or whatever. And then
yeah,
you're sitting. Whereas I know if I'm in my office and I'm sitting here and I'm working, like, I'm not focused. Like, I'm very grateful. I have an amazing carer, and our nanny and my second mother that I love dearly, who looks after Hudson and allows us to have that um, flexibility and freedom and, let's say, balance or
yeah.
integration or whatever you want to call it, um, which definitely helps.
Yes.
Um, But yeah, I think for me, it's always about having a calendar, keeping it simple, and just never working on the weekends and at
Yeah.
night, unless it's urgent,
Yeah.
obviously.
And
And
what,
yeah, you.
sorry, I interrupted you.
Mm-mm.
So what are the future plans for your business? What does success look
Okay.
like? What does, yeah. Is it a 10-story building with thousands of employees?
Okay, so at the moment, we actually are just wanting to refine our systems. Refining systems and having a solid team, I think, is key at the moment. That is one of the goals like that I have for FinSource is that I really want to build a solid team and have our system so well oiled and refined that we are potentially that we're able to go and take what we have and go and put it elsewhere, and that could be yeah, nationally, and maybe internationally. So those are on the cards
Big
at the
plans,
moment.
yes. Wow.
Yeah, big plans. Definitely not doing the 5-story buildings or anything like that. Um, and then also a massive part of our business, not necessarily in terms of revenue, it's passion that we are going to, God willingly, turn into profit. But it really is passion and it's important to us. And that's our financial education platform, which is the Master Your Money membership and the FinSource Academy. Um, on that side, we actually, we've got there's another partner. So there is another equity partner, another shareholder. So that's a lot of growth. Nicole Griffith, she is one of the coaches at the moment. Well, she is one of the coaches and she's joining. So there's growth and scale from that perspective. And we're really looking forward to growing that platform so that we can reach more entrepreneurs who are not in a position at the moment to outsource to FinSource Consulting and would rather like to, at this stage of their business, do it themselves.
Okay.
So lots of
Wow.
exciting stuff.
That's lots of exciting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my final question to you is, what advice would you give to someone who is starting out? Maybe they are an accountant, or maybe they're starting out in something else. And they're looking to start a business. What advice would you give them?
I would say, firstly, just start with having a clear vision of what you want to do. We all know changes as you go on the journey, but really knowing what you want to do, like do your research, see what's out there, like what problem are you wanting to solve. Like in our case, we're wanting to empower entrepreneurs and really help them by giving them peace of mind. So peace of mind was always initially that was what we wanted to do, peace of mind. Like I don't know how to do my accounting.
Yeah.
So how do you really like differentiate yourself from everybody else that's out there doing what you'd like to do? Build a strong support network. I was very grateful that I had one, mentors, my parents, um, my husband, my friends, other people like, other entrepreneurs in the industry that I'm in. Um, Networking is crucial for gaining knowledge and accessing resources that you may not be able to access initially. Start lean, just yeah, minimize your expenses and just focus on the essential.
Yeah.
As I said earlier on, it is dependent on the industry that you're in. So if you are in products and not services, it may look different. Um, I would say embrace your failure and learn from it. Um, I've had loads of stumbling blocks in the 12 years that I've had FinSource, and understanding that it's a natural part of the entrepreneurial journey was a big is a big wake up call. and
Yeah.
you need to understand that that is what it's going to be like. Don't be discouraged by it. Those setbacks, yeah, view it as opportunity for growth and learning, because yeah, there's a lot that comes out of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's important.
Um, yeah, and just stay focused and persevere. You will find that there are going to be people in your industry that are going to be ahead of the game, that are going to be better than you, um, but keep pushing forward, even when you see that, because like you said, James, like there's someone behind you that's watching you.
Yeah.
So, you that person to somebody else.
Yeah.
Um, and then the last two that I just want to say is like be adaptable. Be adaptable to change. Like the business landscape is always changing. Like it's changing all the time. In my industry, it changes all the time. And like I'm like, oh my goodness, how do I stay on top of it? But yeah, just be adaptable, open to change. If you had said to me like 8 years ago, yeah, that we would be on like cloud software and no one would be coming to drop off like boxes or emailing us bank statements and those kind of things, I'd have been like, you mad? Like, how are we gonna carry on making money? Like, we're charging hourly, and hourly means like we have to charge per hour. So now if the computer's doing it, how are we still gonna charge? Like, be open-minded and go like, right, okay, there's value-based billing. It's different. Like, so if we didn't do that, we would have been so far
Yeah.
behind. And lastly, and most importantly, is look after yourself. Take care of yourself. Um, Entrepreneurship can be demanding at times, and it's both mentally and physically. So making self-care a big priority, uh, in maintaining, I'll put it in that work-life balance, to manage your stress and take time to recharge,
Yeah.
is yeah, is important. And I always say, like, when you rest, you come back doing your best. Same as like when you have mom guilt because or dad guilt, when you take time out for yourself and you're like, oh, I feel so bad, like I should have brought my son or I should have brought my kids or whatever. I know when I come back from work, from doing a workout, or I come back from a girls' night, I come back actually from going out with my husband, I'm a better mom. And I think the same applies to entrepreneurship, is that if you sometimes just leave your business for, like just when you take your mind out and you're rested and you can think clearly, you make better decisions, and you come back doing your best. So that's, yeah, my mouthful of wisdom,
Thank you. Thank you. And if someone wants
which
to,
I'm reminding myself about right now.
if someone wants to contact you, how do they get hold of you?
Or if they want to contact me, they can email me at Ilhaam, at finsourceconsulting.com, or hello at finsourceconsulting.com. Um, and yeah, you can find us on Instagram, uh, at FinSource Consulting. And yeah, if you want to subscribe to our newsletter so that you can get, yeah, monthly tips and yeah, just keep be a part of the FinSource community, you can go onto our website, which is the finsourceconsulting.com, and I think there's a pop-up, which you can then, yeah, automatically subscribe to the newsletter.
Fantastic, fantastic. And well, thank you so much for chatting and sharing all your knowledge and your story with us. It's really great. It's a really inspiring story. Um, yeah,
Oh, thanks, James. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for having me. It is a privilege, to be, yeah, to just share the story and, share wisdom. And I think as you share, it actually just allows you to reflect, and go back, to 12 years ago, yeah, when FinSource was started.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. I do put podcasts and other content out on this channel weekly.